Hello, partner. I'm going to give you a quick rundown on how we're going to try and work with these children that we've got. So I think the first thing that we probably need to do is we need to do some behavior intervention first because of Russell, but to make sure we are covering and not singling Russell out, we're going to put some intervention things in place to try and help control behavior within the classroom. Don't want him acting out, but we also don't want the other students acting out because he was acting out as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on some behavior interventions, figure out what some of his triggers are, and what we need to do to maybe keep those triggers from happening. I think that's the first thing we really need to focus on, because if we don't have control over in the classroom, then it's not going to be very good and we're not going to have a very good learning environment. But from there, then we're going to hit into the UDL. I like the UDL because we can tailor things to our students. We can use their interests. We can help them with self-regulation. We can use things, physical actions, expression, communication, work on their executive function. We can do more than just be a teacher to them. So how do we do this though? One of the things I want to do is we're going to have guided discussions with these students. Help them, as it states in a, discussions that I read from Indiana University, that group discussions are an important learning discipline because it helps students process information rather than simply receive it. They have to think about what it is, because they're going to have to think about what they're going to be saying to answer the questions. Two strategies for accommodations that I'd like to implement, and both of them are going to be via the technology world. Talk to text and text to speech. We have students that struggle with reading, communication. So if they can speak their answers to us and have it be written down and have questions read to them where all they have to do is auditorily hear what's being said, then I think the processing is going to be able to be a lot easier for them. Now, does that mean we're going to stay with this? We'll stay with this as it's working, but we're going to be working towards trying to get them to a point where maybe they don't need it as much, but we're going to start out by using it almost with everything, all right? If for some reason we have to go to a online situation or a half and half, or just something that's not a traditional classroom setting that we're used to being in, we're still going to use the talk to text. We're still going to use the text to speech. Those are not going to go away. They can still use them because they're going to have a computer, but we're going to go in and we're going to do some Zoom. We're going to Zoom with the students, and it's not going to all just be instructional Zoom. We can do our conversations, but the other thing I want to have is make sure the parents are there. The parents can help us guide and keep the students within that framework of what we're doing, and maybe even help keep them focused, because, after all, if you're just looking at a computer screen, and sometimes that can be quite boring. I mean, you think about how it is for us. It's not exactly the most fun thing in the world. And then we're going to streamline. The discussions will be more concise, shorter. Where in the classroom we might go for 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to go for 5 minutes. And then maybe we'll have a little sing-along with our Zoom. Let the students get up, dance, do some fun stuff, and then we can come back. So it's going to be a little bit more streamlined, but a little bit more relaxed at the same time. So that's where we're going to go with that. One of the other things that I noticed with that, the talk to text, it talks about, with talking to text, these technologies are particularly useful in those with mobility impairments, disabilities, things that make it tough for them to read or write. We know what our students are. We know what they're struggling with. We know and have the information and technology to be able to help them to succeed. So let's do just that. We'll get down, we'll sit, and we'll talk about this even more so together and get a rock solid plan together. But as for now, this is the basis we're going to start with, and let's get this thing rolling.